Welcome to the WealthGenius Podcast, brought to you by the Expand Wealth Real Estate Fund. Expand your wealth by investing in apartment buildings. Go to expandwealthfund.com to book your info session. The WealthGenius Podcast, strategies for multifamily real estate investing, mindset, community, success. The WealthGenius Podcast with your host, the godfather of real estate, Alfonso Cuadra, who has expansive experience in business and massive success as a real estate investor. The WealthGenius Podcast. Let's dive into today's episode.
Mark,
Alfonso,
you've made it. Finally.
I have.
How many times? No, I think I've been on your show once.
Once,
And it was the best show that I've been on.
Well, it's the greatest host.
But I remember, you're asking me all these questions, and we know each other for a long time. And so I remember thinking, I can't wait to have him on my show because I have a lot of questions for you, my friend.
All right.
And you've been around for a long time, highly successful. You've transitioned into apartment buildings, just like I have.
Yep.
So we have a lot of that in common. I remember, maybe 15 years ago, I can't remember when that was, that someone handed me a book with your face on it.
Yeah, it was, so that book came out in either 07 or 08.
Yeah, so
maybe even, 08, 09 maybe, yeah.
So I remember, going through the, rent-to-own, because I was doing a lot of rent-to-own as well at that time, and just highlighting some things in the book, and I was trying to look for it, but it's somewhere in the boxes in storage or something. But I wanted to come and have it.
Have me autograph it for you.
Oh yeah, that would be awesome. So how did it all start? How did you get here?
Oh, geez, how did I get here?
Let's start from the beginning.
Crap. I mean, I started buying duplexes in Newmarket, Ontario. I literally tried to buy my first property. I think I was 19 or 20 years old in Toronto. So if you know Toronto at all, it was in the East End, Woodfield Avenue. It was a detached property for like $180,000 back then.
180. Let's just stop for a moment. $180,000 for a property in Toronto.
Detached, 2-story, had parking, already had a basement apartment.
Wow.
So I was like, well, I can buy this. Basement apartment's paying $700 back then. That's a $2,000 apartment now or more. Mm-hmm. And I can rent out the rooms for $400 or $500 a piece and basically live for free. And I just couldn't pull it together. For whatever reason, I just didn't understand. And I was like $2,000 short. I couldn't come up with $2,000 extra. And, you talk to my parents and they were like, well, this is a nicer house than ours. And I'm like, well, what does that have to do with anything? I go,
you can't have a nicer house than ours.
Yeah, when you're 20, 19, 20, you don't even you're working this kind of Joe job while you go to university. And I'm like, yeah, well, it's, it's still just help me buy it and it's live for free. I get out of your house, right? And anyways, that deal fell through. And then I finished university. I traveled a bit. I went to Australia, hung out there, played rugby, traveled around Southeast Asia, came back, got a real job at
grown-up
job, sales job at Canon. And I started Red Rich Dad Poor Dad, got introduced to other real estate investors, started talking to them about how to do some deals, got introduced to an agent, bought 3 or 4 properties, duplexes, Newmarket, finally bought a house back in Toronto, which was in the Junction at the time, and it cost me $280 for a duplex.
And so you were, early on, you were intrigued about real estate.
Yeah.
And then you made a move. What was the first move?
First move was to find people who were doing it and get connected with them. And I bought my first property, and I still didn't know what the hell I was doing. I bought it and had all these conditions. I just waived them. I didn't have my mortgage set up or anything. My realtor calls me 2 weeks before closing. Hey, who's your lawyer? I don't know. I don't have a lawyer. And he's like, oh, you're using this one. Harriet Altman. She was great.
Wow.
And he's like, where's your mortgage? I'm like, I don't have one yet. He's like, oh, crap. You go to this guy. And they sorted me out and I got all done. And yeah.
Wow. And because I can remember the first time I closed a property, like my first closing, like it was like sweat. and I was like afraid that they might lose the money. Maybe the money doesn't hit the lawyer's account or whatever. You know what I mean? It was just all these things going through my mind, and you were relaxed.
I was more relaxed. Yeah, I didn't have that for sure. It was more like, okay, and then everyone was just like, they basically came together and, well, this might not close today. I'm like, oh, well. And it ended up closing on time. Everything happened, and I was up that weekend, like chopping down a tree and working on the property to get it rented out upstairs. And
how did you get into the rent-to-own space? And people dabble in rent-to-own, but you were bullish on it.
I owned a company that did rent-to-owns. I obviously taught rent-to-owns. I wrote the book on rent-to-owns, a book on rent-to-owns, one of them now. But back then it was the book. I got into it because, you're buying these duplexes, and even back then, but you're paying 7% interest, and they just didn't cash flow, right? Like, it's like, how do you retire from real estate, or how do you retire, live off the cash flow by owning real estate? And buying these rentals, I saw my net worth going up, but I didn't see the cash flow increasing. So I got into rent-owns because it was better cash flow.
Yeah.
And then, I did the same thing I did when I wanted to buy real estate. I found somebody who was doing it and said, what are you doing? And then, I shifted it a little bit to make it work for myself. And then I found other like-minded people who wanted to do it, and we formed a company that basically... we did call it tenant first rent to own, and we would find the tenant, we would approve them, and then they go and buy a house.
And are you still doing rent to owns?
No, no. And the reason I don't do rent to owns is because it's active, right? It's more active, and you have to sell the property. I mean, you're contracted to sell the property to these people, and I like to buy and hold. I like to buy it right, build it out, set it and forget it.
Yeah. And what I love is that you've transitioned into apartment buildings, which is kind of my MO. This is my space. This is where I live and breathe. And, everyone has to make that transition. Some people don't. Some people stay, doing the ones and twosies, which is fine.
Yeah.
But you've made that transition into bigger assets. And so why did you make the transition, and how did you make the transition?
So I made the transition. I was buying 3-4 unit properties in Hamilton, all over really, and buying undervalued, like they have crappy tenants or bed bugs, fire damage, to whatever.
I remember going to Hamilton, and like 20 years ago, we're driving, seeing all these boarded up houses.
I was buying all those. The worse, the better.
Yeah.
Like cheap, right?
Yeah.
I remember I bought one, and the neighbors were hugging me when I closed. The tenants were moving out, and they're like, "These were the problem. Like, this is like the neighborhood is much better now that you've bought this, even just by buying it."
Yeah.
And by getting those tenants out, I probably just increased the value 80 to 100 grand.
Wow.
Without doing anything to the property.
Yeah.
I think I put like a $40,000 reno and then sold it for like 180 more than I bought it for like 6 months earlier.
Yeah.
But I got into apartment buildings because financing. You can only own so many 3-4 unit properties. And, the pendulum swings in financing. Like back in 08, 09, you could basically buy properties, zero money down, 40-year AMs. They cash flowed like you wouldn't believe, right? Because they were on CMHC approved debt. And then that all stopped. And it's like 2013, 2014, 2015. And I was self-employed. I can't get a mortgage. And then you're like, well, why don't you just do commercial financing? Because then they look at your net worth and your track record. And I'm like, well, I have both of those.
And the asset.
And the asset itself, right? So what did I do? I found a 18-unit vacant building in Hamilton that was sinking because, well, various reasons. But one of the reasons was, I guess...
Actually sinking? Like into the ground?
Yeah.
Or like just not doing well?
No, sinking into the ground. It was totally vacant. And I guess at one point, because it was vacant, some homeless people decided to go in there and take the radiators out. And they rolled them down the stairs, and I guess... caused it to flood. So after I bought it, we were going to turn the water on. The city's like, whoa, you got to make sure all this stuff. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? And the guy told me, he's like, listen, I came here and shut the water off because the building was crying. The water was coming out the windows. It looked like the building was crying. So it had like scraped away all the sand. So we found like basically an epoxy that they lift up the runways with. And it like expands into, it's like a foam that expands into the space. And so we created basically our own bedrock to and lifted the building back up.
So now you got this empty 18 unit.
Yeah.
At what point did you think that this was a good idea, or were you doubting yourself the whole time?
Oh, God, so at first it was a great idea, $600,000 for 18 unit property. I might have been leaving a little less. Hamilton, I think it maybe probably 30 grand a unit. And then at some points it's like, oh, this and this, but then you find creative ways to fix things. And so we bought it for $540. I think we ended up spending, I don't know, over $1 million renovating that property.
Wow.
But once we finished renovating it, right away we got a CMHC evaluation of like $2.5 million on the building. CMHC,
Cha-ching.
well, CMHC, the regional director came to the building because the appraisal had such a high per unit evaluation. He's like, I don't understand.
I got to see it for myself.
Yeah. So he came and he's like, wow, it's amazing, right? Because we had separate water, like they paid their own water, heat, hydro, everything, right? We had a cell phone tower on the building, and they just couldn't believe the revenue we were getting from it. And they're like, okay, and sign off on it, right? So
I love it. So now you've entered this apartment building space, and are you hooked right away, or you wait a while, or you just completely you went into the apartment building and said, forget about rent to own, forget about the ones and twosies? And
so I was done with rent to own by then. Basically, well, was I? I think I was still doing like some small stuff, but I had sold the company I was involved with. I had ran some courses on rent to owns and stuff like that at first. When was I done? Like mid 2015, 16, I would say, because it's a lot of work, right? Like putting it all together, and again, I want to hold the asset because you make money holding the asset. You don't make money selling it, right? I call them big piggy banks because you just have all these tenants putting money into a bank account for you.
I love that.
Month,
I love
right?
that so much.
But yeah, then I bought, I bought like 12 unit property here, 19 unit here. And then I found a great partner at the time. And he wanted to partner with me on all my properties. So we bought 7 buildings together until that COVID kind of made him go a little, but then we sold all our buildings and made a lot of profit.
Nice.
And that's when I went out to Edmonton.
Yeah, so you created a liquidity event.
Well, he created the liquidity event. I mean, we decided together, yet basically I said, yeah, I think it's a good time to sell. It was like we were getting sub 3 caps.
Wow.
On all the properties. So a building we bought the year before at like a 4.1 cap, and we got a sub 3 cap on it. So we made $1 million+ on that building. And I think maybe we put in, like, this is after the renovation, but we maybe put $100,000 into it. Like, we had no money into it at all yet. So.
And now you said Edmonton, so you made this transition to go to Alberta, and I feel like you're bullish on Alberta.
I'm very bullish. So here's what I did. Obviously, we sold those properties. I had this influx of cash, and I said about searching, right? Like I was like, okay, I can't buy in Hamilton if they're going to sell at sub 3 caps. This was like in the COVID, like cheap money boom, all that type of stuff, right? I'm like, I can't. It doesn't make financial sense. Like those people who bought off me, they took 10 years of future earnings and gave it to me. And I'm like, I don't want to give somebody 10 years future earnings. Where can I go and buy? So I looked out east, I looked out west, I looked at all the provinces, maybe except BC. I looked down south. I looked like in Atlanta. I looked in Florida, Texas, Arizona, some of the other more landlord-friendly states. I actually didn't look in Ohio back then. And I came about that Alberta had the best economic opportunity of anywhere in North America.
And what brings you to that point? Like what do you think Alberta is so good right now? So let's timestamp this. We're June of 2024.
Yep.
So where is Alberta going in your view?
So I mean, just the immigration numbers are massive out there, and the jobs, right? They're creating jobs like you wouldn't believe, and they're all doing it with a fiscally conservative government that is running like a $4 billion surplus.
Wow.
That's after giving all the money to Ottawa and Quebec. Right?
Franchise fee.
Yeah, right. But like they are just creating jobs upon jobs upon jobs. So
I love it.
I'm part of a Facebook group, a couple of them, like Ontario people moving to Alberta, and I see it every day, right? You follow the U-Haul stats, right?
Wow.
There are more full U-Hauls going to, well, there's exponentially more full U-Hauls going to Alberta and empty ones coming back.
Wow. Yeah, so I was I just did an event in Calgary.
Mm-hmm.
And, I would say maybe 100 people or so. And I remember saying to everyone, how many people were born here in Canada? How many people were born here? 4 people put up their hand.
Yeah.
4 people in that whole room.
Yep.
It was wild, right? Wild. I mean, they talk about the potential of 20 million new immigrants coming to Canada in the next 25 years. Wow. 20 million. And that's on the low end.
We're going to be 68 million people in Canada
Wow.
in those next 25 years.
Yeah.
And Alberta, like Edmonton's slated to double in size in the next 10 years.
Yeah. And it's when you go there, it's like gorgeous.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lifestyle component. I mean, Saskatchewan has the same opportunity.
They have no mountains.
Exactly. The view, the lifestyle. They're gorgeous cities.
Anybody who's born in Saskatchewan leaves Saskatchewan.
Love it. I love it. But it's still, I would say there's still an opportunity. But for sure, I would agree with you on Alberta because of everything it has to offer.
Yeah, I think it's, for me, Alberta is just more diverse.
Yeah.
It's like they're attracting tech jobs. Mm-hmm. They're like clean energy there. Their clean energy jobs that they're attracting are massive. Like they have a massive hydrogen plant that's being built out there, $11 billion by Air Liquide, and they're like a hydrogen hub. So all the big trucks, they're going hydrogen.
Wow.
Right. So all the big dump trucks you see up in Fort McMurray and all that type of stuff, they're all going to go hydrogen, not electric. They're going to go hydrogen.
What's the future for you?
I'm going to keep buying more properties. I got a nice 44 unit I'm looking at right now. I got an 83 unit I love. It's fire damaged. It's condemned. It's right up my alley. The 44 unit's on the opposite side of the spectrum. It's like turnkey. I don't need to do anything but raise rents. I'm obviously a realtor in Ontario and Alberta, and I help people buy multifamily buildings, and I love it, right? Like I love doing deals.
Yeah.
I love putting deals together, if they're mine or other people's. I love figuring out the intricacies of how to make that deal work. How do I get Alfonso 5% down? Is that the best deal? Or do we bridge it and then pull out all your money in a year?
Yeah,
right?
It's like guidance, proper guidance.
Yeah.
I love that so much. And so we're going to have all your information. They're going to be able to get a hold of you through the show notes that we're going to have attached to this episode. What inspires you? Like what gets you up in the morning?
My dog, my kids. No, well, yeah, yes, and you know what? I've never been very good at sitting still, and I really do love help people create wealth.
Yeah,
that's why I started the YouTube channel way back when, and that's why I continue to do what I do.
Yeah,
I love to help people create wealth, and if I can help people buy a couple hundred units. And I mean, what does that do for them and their family? And what does that do for
infinite, right?
Like their circle and my circle too, right? I like hanging out with people who have a couple hundred units.
Yeah.
Because we can go do cool shit.
I love it. And you have a podcast. And the podcast I was on.
Yes, you were. Yeah.
And I would have to say that was one of your best episodes.
I agree. It's one of the last ones. I haven't done one since November.
Oh, really?
I've thought about doing it again. As you know, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to start the YouTube channel again. A lot of people, every time I see them, they're like, when is it coming back? When's it coming back? And I'm like, maybe. Maybe it's a lot of work. It's like a job, and I don't like having a job.
No. It looks like you're easygoing, very lifestyle driven, very much like myself, and I think that helps a lot of people. Lastly, a quote that you live by.
Don't compare your insides to other people's outsides.
Love it so much, Mark. Thank you for coming, my friend. I appreciate you so much, guys. This is a great episode. Alfonso loves you. We'll see you at the top. Woo! Let's go.
Thanks for listening to the Wealth Genius Podcast, presented in part by Expand Investor Conference, December 13th to 15th at Weston Harbor Castle, Toronto. Get your tickets now at wealthgenius.ai/expand. If you have a question or comment about something you heard today, reach out to the Godfather via social media or email him anytime. All that information is in the show notes. And of course, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode of the Wealth Genius Podcast. The Wealth Genius Podcast. Until next time, see you at the top.